Hey everybody, welcome back to FSP. I'm the Vortex Trader, and today we are going to be discussing how do I actually draw a trend line. These videos are for beginners that are interested in getting their feet wet and starting to learn about the wonderful world of technical analysis in trading. If you haven't checked out the first video, which discussed what a trend line actually is, go ahead and check it out. It should be appearing above my head in the top right hand corner of your screen right about now, that side. So go ahead and watch that one before you watch this one. All right, so how do I draw trend lines? What we got to do is identify two or more significant price points, highs for a downward trend line or lows for an upward trend line, and simply draw a straight line connecting these points. Easy enough, right? It really is. So I've gone ahead and labeled some pre-existing examples on this chart already, and I'm going to show you how we go about finding the straight line tool inside of TradingView and connecting these pivot points. All right, where price reverses, because that's what a trend line essentially is. Okay. So this is Euro USD on the 4-hour time frame, and as I said previously, the markets are fractal, so it doesn't matter which time frame you're trading in. You could be trading in the 1-minute time frame on Bitcoin or the 1-month time frame on gold. It doesn't matter, because markets are fractal. You will find trend lines across all markets and all time frames. For the sake of this example, we're just using Euro USD on the 4-hour, which is a very popular market to trade. So for our first example, I've gone ahead and labeled these 4 price points right about here. Now, to find our trend line tool in TradingView, we are in TradingView. Just go to the left-hand side of your screen, the top left-hand corner. Go underneath where you see the little cursor option for you to change your cursor, a dot and arrow. Let's actually change this to a arrow, so therefore you won't see that little cross area that might mess with the screen. Underneath it, you'll see a whole bunch of tools. At the top of it, you can choose a trend line, and there's a little star there for you to add it to your list of favorites, which I like to do, which I have at the bottom of my screen, so it's just easily accessible. So we then click on the trend line tool, and now I'm going to simply draw a straight line across these 4 points. Just like this. So we can see that we have our first trend line. We have this trend line as a downwards trend line, acting as a line of resistance. Price comes up, touches the first point, comes back down, touches the second point, makes a lower low, carries on making lower lows, comes back up for a third touch, then goes ahead and makes another lower low, makes more lower lows, comes back up for a 4th touch, and currently as I'm recording this, we have just made touch number 5. So the amount of touches that I like to use personally for a trend line, it has to be at least 3, because this will classify to me that the trend line is being respected, whether as support or resistance. You can change the color of your trend line, you can change the thickness of the line, you can change it to any color you want, you can make it as thick as you want, you can make it something like this. We can turn it into a dashed line, or we can turn it into a dotted line. They are all within the settings of the trend line, which you will find in TradingView. Very simple to use. I like my trend lines nice and thin. I like the line to be straight, and I like the color to be red if we are going down, or blue if we are going up, to signify the difference between a resistance trend line or a support trend line, or going upwards or downwards. All right, so this is our first example. Beautiful textbook example of a trend line. I've also discussed that trend lines are not usually this perfect. Sometimes they can be a little bit messy, and we can see that with this third touch over here. Price comes through the trend line and then retraces off of it. It's never going to touch it absolutely perfectly across all the touches. Occasionally you'll see price pushing through. There might be some wickage, meaning that there'll be some wicks pushing through the trend line. We may actually also have some solid candle closes pushing past the trend line as well. That's all okay. It depends how you like to place them. Some people like to adjust them so they're just covering the wicks, the extremities of the trend line itself. That's also okay. It all depends how you like to trade them and what you plan to use them for. All right, so that is example number 1. I'm going to go backwards in time now. I have another one over there. Can you see these 4 touches? So what do? We go to our trend line tool in TradingView and we connect these 4 price points, just like that. Alright, because this is an upwards trend line and it's acting as support, meaning price is coming down, bouncing off of it, coming down again, making another higher high, coming off of it, bouncing off it again, making another higher high, and coming up again. I'm going to change the color to blue because we're acting as support and we're trending upwards. That is example number 2. If I carry on scrolling left, we have another one acting as support, but price is trending lower. Can you guys spot it? There it is. So go to our trend line tool and we go from spot number 1, the first touch, and we go ahead and cover all the touch points of the trend line. This is sloping downwards, acting as support, but because we are in a downwards trend, I'm going to change the color back to red. So it really depends how you like to play with the colors, what makes it easier for you, what color your candles are on the chart, which should make your trend line pop, because you want to be able to see it really clearly. Before I show another example, I just want to explain one more thing. Trend lines don't have to be simply just lines. They can be zones itself. Alright, if we go back into our trend line tool and we scroll down, we can find something called a parallel channel. Now this is for the guys that want to cover an entire zone, not generally just a line. What this will do, for this example, should cover most of the wick points. So instead of having our trend line just being a simple line, we can do something like this. Acts as a parallel channel tool, and we can make this nice and neat. And this shows how we've turned this trend line into a zone, because we can see that we have wicks inside of this zone. And this sort of just gives us a better view of how price is reacting within this zone. Nothing has changed. It is still a trend line. It is still acting as support. We are just covering more price action essentially. Okay, I think I have one more example for you guys. There's one. We have 3 touches right there. You can see one price point, the second one, and the third, all making higher highs. And look at that third push. It really made a complete higher high. Nice bullish action. So we're going to go back to our trend line tool and we're going to start from the first touch point and join the lines up until the third touch point. And because this is acting as support with price trending upwards, I'm going to change this trend line to the color blue. There we go. 3 touches, a trend line acting as support. Guys, it really is as simple as that. That is how we identify them. That is how we draw them. They appear all across every single market on every single time frame. You will see them all the time. Use them as confluence. Practice drawing them. This is something that should really help you start to identify trends within the market, because whenever we see a trending market, we will see price creating some sort of trend line. Okay, so on that note, let's wrap this video up. You guys can join our free Telegram group or our Discord server. Both are linked in the description below. I hope you are finding these videos helpful and informative, and I will see you all in the next one.